Hey there everyone, today we are going to talk about Ginott and his congruent communication theory. Ginott was born in 1922 and he died in 1973. And his congruent communication theory has actually came from a mixture of 3 books that he has written, which are Between Parent and Child, Between Parent and Teenager, and Teacher and Child. This theory isn't something that he put together all at once, but rather has been ideas that he has kind of taken from his 3 books, which are basically about the different ways that he describes communicating to kids or students. So the basic idea of his theory is that students are responsible for their actions, however, teachers are in charge of creating a discipline-filled classroom. So basically, teachers allow the students to be in charge of their own actions, but they have to set up an environment of integrity and understanding first. So they can do this by allowing the students to create some of their own rules and consequences. However, the teacher has to be a part of that. And they do this by understanding the feelings of their students and cooperating with them. So again, they can cooperate with the students when coming up with some of these rules and consequences. However, this sense of integrity and understanding has to be there first. And there are a few different ways that Ginott recommends doing this, which we are about to talk about. So he has 3 basic tenets to his theory. The first one is that teachers demonstrate communication that is harmonious to students' feelings about themselves and their situations. That's what congruent communication is. So what this means is that teachers should keep their students' feelings in mind with each of their interactions. And they should make the students feel like the teacher's desires to help them and accept them. So basically, they don't want the student to feel like they're an outlier or that they can't go to the teacher for help, but rather that the teacher really wants to be there for them. The second tenet is that the teacher demonstrates behavior that invite and encourage students' cooperation. So basically, they need to encourage behaviors of the students that show them working together. Instead, don't take out their chances of working together. For example, if you want your students to work together on an assignment, then don't constantly tell them to stop talking. Instead, find ways of allowing them to talk about the subject at hand. But if you just tell them to stop talking, then they're going to just focus on themselves and have no interaction with those around them, including you. The final tenet is that teachers promote discipline as an alternative to punishment. Basically, stay calm, cool, and collected whenever a student misbehaves. Ginott recommends that teachers shouldn't insult a student's character or threaten them with punishments. Rather, they focus on the actual situation that needs stopped. For example, as we were talking about earlier, if students are constantly talking off subject and in a way that distracts other students, instead of saying, "Stop talking or else I'm sending you to the office," try saying, "Some students are having difficulty paying attention and are getting distracted. How can we all help them stay focused?" Also, sometimes when students receive punishments, the student feels like they have paid for their behavior through this. Also, they don't learn from their mistakes, but rather they learn how to not get caught so that they don't receive a punishment. So one strategy that Ginott gives in reaching this theory of congruent communication is to use sane messages, which is basically messages that focus on the situation rather than the student's character. For example, if a student is struggling in a class, instead of saying, "If you just cared about your grades and would try, you would do better," instead try saying, "So I've noticed your grades are starting to slip. What are some ways I can help you understand the material better?" Another strategy that Ginott has is to never use sarcasm and to use appreciative praise over evaluative praise. We should avoid sarcasm because it can hurt a student's self-esteem, especially if done in front of peers. For example, if a student asks a question that you've already answered, instead of ridiculing them by saying, "What were you doing 5 seconds earlier, solving world hunger?" Instead, just answer the question and move on. It will save you time and your relationship with that student. When it comes to appreciative versus evaluative praise, that has to do with focusing on the student's efforts and accomplishments instead of their character or personality. For example, if a student gets an A on a test, don't say, "I can tell you worked hard and studied for that test. I'm so proud of you and your intelligence with you getting that A." This is problematic because if the student gets a B on the next one, they will feel like you aren't proud of their work and that you will feel like they didn't work hard or aren't intelligent. Rather, say something like, "Great work on your test. I'm really proud of your effort." So as a whole, I really like this theory. The main reason is that it takes the students' feelings into account. This is so important when it comes to rapport building and keeping a calm and discipline-filled classroom. It also puts the responsibility of keeping control on the teachers, which I think is great because it doesn't allow teachers to make excuses because of those kids. However, there are certain aspects of this theory that I don't like. One is that it allows certain habits to continue, certain bad habits at that to continue. One example that Ginott has of this is that he believes that if a student curses in your class and in a non-distracting way, that you should just let it pass and not even focus on it. However, I believe that there are certain ways you can handle that without embarrassing the student or disrupting the class more. Also, the model assumes that every student would react the same way to each scenario. This is very problematic because it turns the kids into robots instead of the individuals that they are. But overall, this is a great theory to try and implement in your classroom because of the importance it has in building that rapport with your students while also creating a discipline-filled classroom. So I hope that you enjoyed and that you learned a lot about Ginott, and I hope you have a good day.